check to make sure this one's bad. But I think it's not heating.
Of course, there's a filter on it, so
Yeah.
This time of year, it's kind of hard to tell because the water ain't that cold.
Randy Pruitt took care of it for a long time.
That's another fact.
He's home with COVID. scare me, Sheridan. You scare me. Let's see.
Hey, I know that one. Bravo. 939. 939. Oh, do not let the world depart. And close thine eyes against the light. Oh, say that heart and not thy heart. Be saved, oh, tonight. Oh, why not tonight? Oh, why not tonight? Well, thou be saved, then why not tonight? Tomorrow's sun will never rise. To bless thy polluted eye. Is no time will think be wise. Be saved, oh, tonight. Oh, why not tonight? Oh, why not tonight? Will thou be saved? Then why not tonight? Our blessed Lord refuses not. Who would to him their souls unite? Believe, obey, the work is done. Be saved, oh, tonight. Oh, why not tonight? Oh, why not tonight? Will thou be saved? Then why not tonight? 957, says Jesse. 957. One of my favorite songs, too. 957. This world is not my home, I'm just a passing through. My treasures are laid up somewhere beyond the blue. The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not where I want, but I do. The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. They're all expecting me, and that's one thing I know. My Savior's pardoned me, and now I upward go. I know He'll take me through, though I am weak and poor, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Just up in glory land will live eternally. The saints on every hand are shouting victory. Their song the sweetest praise drifts back from heaven's shore, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Anybody else got one? If not, why don't you pray with me? God, we love you very, very much. We thank you for loving us and blessing us so richly. We ask your forgiveness and your understanding when we oftentimes forget to give you credit for everything that you give us. Lord, we ask you to watch over us and protect us and keep us safe. Guard us and keep the devil away from us. Help us to avoid temptation and do things that would further your kingdom here in Sheridan and in the world. Lord, I ask you to be with my boys that are away from me right now, Nathan up in Michigan, Shane and Cersei, as they make adjustments to their world. Lord, be with Janice Jackson as she made a lot of improvements in the last 24 to 36 hours. Lord, please continue to keep her spirits up and encourage her, Lord. Be with Tina's granddaughter, that little girl, I don't remember her name. Be with her. She struggles with her leg and her injuries to her leg. Lord, we love you so much. We thank you so much for allowing us to be your children, the children of the King. It's in your Son's name that we pray. Amen. Riley.
Well, this is going to be interesting for me. I'm not used to seeing the room from this point of view.
You'll get used to it eventually.
Am I loud enough for everyone to hear me? Okay, good. Yeah, I begged for a little bit of help, and Kendall suggested the parable of the prodigal son. We all know that one. We all kind of probably have our own mental picture of that parable as we go through it. But we'll try to break that down a little bit tonight and see what we think about what each of us thinks about it. And I know there's not a whole lot of us here, but if y'all decide to go ahead and contribute, that'll make this go a little bit longer. If I have to stick to this that I've written down here, we'll probably be done in about 5 minutes. And I'll have to default to singing night and ask David to rescue me. Well, starting out in the 15th chapter of Luke, we were talking about lost things, different types of ways of being lost. The sheep, which became lost by no fault of the owner. It was just, one of those things. The coin, which was the owner's fault for having lost it, and the son, the prodigal son, who it was the fault of the lost one that the loss occurred. I'll go ahead and do a quick read through it here, and then we'll do a little bit of discussion. And we'll start here at Luke chapter 15, verse 11. And he said, "A certain man had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, 'Father, give me the share of the estate that falls to me.' And he divided his wealth between them. And not many days later, the younger son gathered everything together and went on a journey to a distant country. And there he squandered his estate with loose living. Now when he had spent everything, a severe famine occurred in the country, and he began to be in need. He went and attached himself to one of the citizens of the country, and he sent himself into the fields to feed swine. And he was longing to fill his stomach with the pods that the swine were eating, and no one was giving him anything. And when he came to his senses, he said, 'How many of my father's hired men have more than enough bread, but I am dying here of hunger? I will get up and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight. son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his slaves, Quickly, bring out the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his hand and sandals on his feet. Bring the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. For this son of mine was dead and has come to life again. He was lost and has been found. And they began to be merry. Now the older son was in the field, and when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. And he summoned one of the servants and began inquiring what these things might be. And he said to him, Your brother has come, and your father has killed a fatted calf, because he has received him back safe and sound. But he became angry and was not willing to go in. His father came out and began entreating him. But he answered and said to his father, Look, for so many years I have been serving you, and I have never neglected a command of yours, and yet you have never given me a kid that I might be merry with my friends. But when this son of yours, who has devoured your wealth with harlots, and he has come and you have killed the fatted calf for him. And he said to him, My child, you've always been with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to be merry and rejoice, for this brother of yours was dead and has become alive, and was lost and has been found. I guess where we start with this, the son has the audacity to approach his father and demand that he be given his inheritance. This is probably something that happened very infrequently, and if it did happen, they were probably shut down and sent on their way. But this being an example of God shows that God will not force us to be obedient. We must do it of our own free will. And any time that we do show this kind of arrogance toward God, it would be like a slap in the face, as it must have been to the father here. Usually, the inheritance was bestowed upon the death of the father, but in asking for it, the son asking for it, it's as if he was telling his father, I wish you were dead. Or it would be better if you were dead. I'm not good at this right here, so if anybody has anything to comment on, just interrupt me, because this is not something that I've learned how to do. The disrespect shown by the son was enormous. The father, instead of shutting him down, graciously honored his wishes. And 1/3 of all the father's portion would go to the second son. He, being the second son, that would have been the part that he would receive. And I can't imagine that the father went to his checkbook and pulled it out and wrote a check for the amount and handed it to his son. At that time, I would imagine that everything was invested pretty much in property and livestock, buildings, whatever. And these things, the son, it said the son gathered his wealth to take to a far country. And in doing that, what must it have been like to the father to see the son making his property disappear? He walks outside and something that was there the day before is gone because the son has had to liquidate it in order to have money to take to his far country.
Stuart, I think we as parents sometimes experience something similar to this. When you see your children heading in a direction you know that's wrong, and it's going to hurt them, and all that, but yet he loved his son enough that he did it, but he's got to be hurt, like you say. When the son who really hasn't deserved this yet, the estate is what's left when you die. It's a growing type thing, you know. He hadn't fulfilled the qualifications yet to receive what he was asking for.
He said, "Give me what is mine."
Right. Give me what is mine.
How arrogant is that?
And I know all of us that have been parents have had children make decisions, or maybe we made decisions, or our wife made a decision, or whatever, that hurt bad because you know they were headed in the wrong direction. But that also plays into the other side of the story when he sees him come back again. You know, we'll talk about that later. But I understand the pain that he must have felt. But like you said, the just God is going to allow it and hope that he grows a brain, as we say, and returns. But the story is so complicated and so covers so many areas. When you want to compare it to our life, and compare it to our relationship with God, God is the good God. The Father is the good God. But that doesn't mean he's happy with what's going on here.
And I get what you're saying, that what makes this story so powerful to so many different people is because it's so relatable. All of us have, in one way or another, experienced some of this.
We've experienced all the roles, you know. I mean, like Tom was saying, we've been the parent who's seen our kids make stupid mistakes, or we've been the kid making a stupid mistake, or we've been the selfish brother who resented the beauty of his brother coming home, that couldn't rejoice when his father was rejoicing. I mean, you know, the focus on this is usually the prodigal son, but the older brother acted awful. I mean, you know, he mentioned, "I've never disobeyed the command. I've done everything you've asked me to do, except rejoice when the father fuss at the Pharisees, because that's clearly what Jesus was doing with the Pharisees. Parables was fussing at the Pharisees, but what we need to see is
What's our responsibility?
how can we act better when, like Dina was saying, when someone comes forward? Or how can we act better when someone we love is not doing what we want to do? How can we act like this Father?
We're in 1 Corinthians in the men's class, and it's, talking about love, and that right there, I mean, we can, if we will just back up and look at what we are thinking, look at how we are acting, whether it shows love or not is very obvious, and we ought to be able to see it.
What you're looking at here is the three attitudes. You have the attitude of the father, and the prodigal son, and the brother. And there is a right attitude, and there's a wrong attitude. We're going to, look at both of them. But to me, kind of, Gina says, do we really rejoice when somebody that's been away in sin comes back and says, Lord, I'm coming back? Or do we count the number of times they've done this in the past?
Are we the older brother, or the people, the so-called faithful members, the older brother?
But the inheritance isn't going to matter. The importance is the mindset. Whether it's you get a third or two-thirds, a double portion or a single portion or whatever, that's not going to matter. It's the attitude toward God, the attitude that we have is the most important thing. And that's back to the 1 Corinthians thing we've talked about for a couple of weeks. We don't really understand. We just do not understand the importance of love in our life for God and all of His creation. If we did, we'd do things different. We would be different.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to look in that mirror.
So I read a commentary one time on this, and the commentary told a story that was not biblical, okay, but he went on and told the story about a letter that the older brother wrote the younger brother about, look, I've sinned too, let me show you what I've done. Again, that's not biblical at all, but it made me put a different spin on it, it made me think about it, because we here, especially this Wednesday night crowd, we're the ones who are here almost all the time to do all the things. And can you imagine if one of our brothers has left the church, how the father feels? I mean, if we have all had a son or a daughter make a stupid decision that we watched happen, we know the pain of that. We know wanting to just go cry in the corner, And that's the way our God feels when John Doe quits coming to church. But we are the older brother who's not going and hunting down John Doe. Because he was out in the field. He didn't even see his brother come home. He wasn't standing on the knoll watching for his brother to come home like his father was. He was out doing his thing, probably enjoying the fact that he was the favorite son.
He's because this is all focused on members of the church. It's not focused on anyone outside the church. If we lose someone of our number, they've basically done the same thing. You go to a far land, you have taken yourself out of the sight, out of the influence of the people of the church. You may think you've taken yourself out of the sight and influence of God. You have not, but you may still feel that way. I imagine people can delude themselves to that point.
But as a parent, the critical time, I'm sorry, I'm being parents about all I know, but the critical time is when the child leaves home. You've had them under your control for all these years, or for, that's not always true anymore, but you've had them there. I know that when we were buying gifts for the drugstore years ago, Linda found a little kite, and it said, the two things I wish most for my kids, I want to give them, watch me mess it up, wings and roots. I want them to be able to make it on their own, but I want them to be founded. I want them to have their roots in the basic things that we have taught them since the day that they, and I think every parent worries about the time when your children leave home, and so many of them test their belief in by trying different things, doing different things. I'm sure there's some that don't, but I haven't seen many of them that don't. But you worry about it because you are concerned for their soul. I mean, that father was worried about his son when he asked for his inheritance. He knew what he was going to do with it. He was very concerned with it. And as a parent, I was concerned when my kids left home.
We look at that. Everybody has the opportunity, when they go outside the sight and influence of home, they have the opportunity, a greater opportunity to stray. This being an example of someone leaving the church, had strayed before even making the departure. That's something that some of us have seen, but God sees it every time someone leaves the faith. Well, we'll take the young man into the far country, out of the influence of his father and whatever influence his brother had been. It doesn't look as if the two brothers were terribly close. And it seems that the father wasn't a poor man. So 1/3 of all that he owned was probably a significant amount. And this son, it doesn't give us a time frame, but it seems like a fairly short period of time, he was able to burn through all that his father had given to him. And I don't even remember what I was writing these notes down, and I put a couple of scriptures in here, and I've got Galatians 5:19 through 21, which applies to this, and I can't bring it to mind, so I'm going to go there and read it. Well, we'll start at 19 through 21. Now the deeds of the flesh are evident, which are things like these, of which I forewarned you, just as I have forewarned you, those who practice such things shall not inherit the kingdom of heaven. Yet this young man was all in on being all out with God, it seems. He practiced absolute dissipation. The exact opposite of anything that his father might have showed him as an example when he was at home. And the type of life that he was shown by his father was what had accumulated the money that he now wasted. He had shown poor judgment. It seems that his judgment had really faltered early on before he approached his father. And now that he was in a far land, I'm sure he gathered friends about him. You can always find lots of friends when you have money to spend. And in a very short time managed to waste all that his father had been able to amass over probably his entire life. And after he had wasted everything his father had given him, the parable says a mighty famine came upon the land, and he began to be in want. And how many people here believe that the young man probably approached some of his friends when he began to be in want? And this was probably a part of his enlightening process, because it appears that those friends turned out to be no friends at all. And being in the dire straits that he was in, he joined himself to a citizen of that country. And that said in what I was reading that in the translation, joined himself to translates into glue or cement. So I would imagine he had to indenture himself to a citizen of the country in order to find any work at all, which would basically be to be a slave. And for a Jew to be the slave of a Gentile, that's almost as bad as the job he got when he worked for that Gentile. As he was sent into the field to feed the swine of the Gentile owner. And again, we find that this downward spiral just can't seem to stop getting worse. Here he is, a good Jewish boy. We assume he was Jewish since that's he was looking at the pig's food and thinking, boy, that looks good, it seems that his sanity returned. But I also thought, when I read that, he came to himself. That would mean that he had something to return to. He had at one time been a decent person. He knew what it was to be a decent person, or at least similar to a decent person. He had been, when he was with his father, blind to all of the good things in his father's house. It all seemed like a burden to him.
Obviously, sometimes in people's life, they do wake up, they come to themselves and realize that they're away from the Father. We would hope that everybody that ever went astray would wake up someday and say, if I'm just a servant of my Father, it'll be better off.
And generally you don't come to that until you're at the point where you're
Well, that's right.
dining with pigs.
I mean, the pigs to a Jewish boy is the farthest thing in the world he even wanted to be around. And here he is involved in them, and he, like you say, wanted to eat the pods that they were eating. But he came to himself. I think all of us need to come to ourselves sometimes about our life, about what's going on in our life. Not necessarily what we don't have or what we have, but where we are, you know. Solomon had it all right.
In the end.
In the end, yeah, he did all right.
I-
As we get older, we think about those things, you know. You look back over your life, things that you thought were important, things that you maybe devoted a lot of time and money and effort in. You know, it's all of a sudden doesn't make any difference. You know, your obituary, to live a whole life so you can fill your obituary with impressive things, it's going to be over when the ink's dry on the paper and thrown out. You know, it's not going to count. It's not good for anything if you miss the main thing. Serve God.
Yeah. And my grandmother, my maternal grandmother had a saying, situations alters cases. It, you know, whatever situation you find yourself in kind of brings you to a different conclusion. But in that he came to himself. I found in Matthew 6, verse 22, or 21 and 22, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. The lamp of the body is the eye. And therefore, if your eye is clear, your whole body will be full of light. The clearing of the eyes, coming to oneself. And he had lost all appreciation for good counsel and good things. And he left it all. And after leaving it, he realized it's what he needed, what he wanted all along. Can we call it a type of insanity that he was overtaken by? Have we ever been caught up in some tell that when he came to himself, when he regained his sanity, I guess you could say, that he understood who was at fault for the situation that he found himself in. And he started thinking about going home. And he started thinking about what he'd say when he got home. And he thought to himself, what am I going to say to Dad? I have sinned. I've sinned against heaven and against you. Didn't make any excuses. Let's see what 1 John has for us on that. I should have these all marked. This is a learning process.
You see in his change in attitude a complete flip-flop from a young man who felt like he deserved everything his father inheritance to where now just, I've sinned in just the least of things, if I could just be your servant,
This is the gaining of wisdom.
Yeah. There's a complete turnaround in his thinking from arrogance to submission and recognition of his sin. And he also recognized that it was a sin against heaven and against his father. It wasn't just the one. He realized that his teachings, things that he had learned, he violated that too.
Well, we got to understand that sin, all sin, is sin against God. No matter who we sin against, it's a sin against God. But here in 1 John, chapter 1, verse 9, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and righteous to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness.
He also recognized that he was no longer qualified to be his son. He was no longer worthy to be his son. But when you read a few verses later, you see that his father was not having any of that.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts in the parable. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. He had shown any respect for his father. He had forfeited all claim to sonship. He didn't have anything left to bring back to his father except himself. But that's what his father
Exactly
wanted.
where we are.
But that's what his father wanted.
Yeah.
That's what he was looking for.
And the commentary I read said that a Jewish man does not run.
Especially an old man. A man of stature
Yeah.
does not run.
And but yet that's exactly what the Bible says.
But before we get there, I'm going to do the candle thing. We're not there yet.
Okay.
I saw this right here. He arose and went to his father. And that makes me think of
looking for his son. And the thrill that was in his heart. It's one of the most touching parables of the Bible. You can envision that.
Yeah,
And what we need to realize is God, that's God. And he's waiting for us to come back. Or
the
he's
story
waiting for us.
implies that he never stopped looking. I mean, he wouldn't have just
He's never
accidentally seen him
I
coming.
mean, he's never forgotten.
He was waiting, he was watching. And as you said, when he saw his son, must have still had some pretty good eyes for an old man. But he saw him a long way off, and he ran to him. And when we think about that, I heard somebody explain what that would have looked like. You've heard of girding up your garments, right? What they wore back then, you didn't run in. In order to run, you had to pull up your robes.
Well, your knees for sure.
And can you imagine an old bony-legged man, somebody who was supposed to be above all that, hiking up his robes and running down the road with just absolute abandon
In front of all the servants.
in front of everybody? Yeah.
But like Tom said, that is our God.
And the King James Version said he fell on his neck and he kissed him. Everybody knows the difference between hugging somebody and hugging somebody's neck. That's a different kind of hug. And as the father, I don't know, did he pry himself loose from his father because he had that prepared speech? Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. And before he could even get the next line out, his father is barking orders at the servants. And this kid is standing there. And they've taken this robe, better robe than he's ever worn in his life probably, and they're putting it around the filthy clothes that he's wearing. And his smelly, pig-feeding hands are being grabbed so they can put the family signet ring on his hand. And you know he wasn't wearing any shoes. And here he is in the middle of all this bedlam. He can't even get the second line of his prepared speech out. And you know that he must have rehearsed that thing over and over. That's probably a pretty good trip home. He tried every way in the world to say that. And he didn't get a chance to say it because he had come back, and that was what mattered.
Well, not only did he forgive him, he restored him completely to where he was before. I mean, with the robe and the ring, it was right back like nothing had ever happened. Not only forgiveness, but it's
Complete
you're home.
restoration.
You're home. You're where you should be.
And you go back to one of the first parables in this list of parables. And we have a line that describes what we're seeing here. When the man is lost in sheep and he calls his friends together. In verse 7 it says, I tell you that in the same way, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who need no repentance. But are there any of us that really need
Well, as the Father loved the Son, we need to love our brethren, whether they're out, so to speak, or in the church. The love thing we were talking about. But if we love our neighbor as ourselves, we're going to be trying to help, trying to find, trying to, like the Father looking down the road for that loved one to come home. We need to be doing the same thing, and I think it's a great weakness for so many of us.
Can we call it a weakness? I guess that would be one way to describe it.
We could call it a sin, maybe, if we didn't do it.
Well, it looks like we've used up the time. I appreciate all the input. Makes it a lot easier. It also makes it easier just being in a small group of friends. And let's go ahead and pray before we depart. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this chance to be gathered together to open your word and to study it and maybe find something that we hadn't noticed before. I thank you, dear Heavenly Father, for this opportunity. And I pray, dear Heavenly Father, that you're pleased with what we have done here tonight. Help us, dear Heavenly Father, as we leave here and go into this week, that we will take what we've discussed and apply it to our lives, that we might be profitable servants, disciples, children